Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining in today for another Discord AMA here on the Polygon server. Today, we are speaking with Bebop, which is a very exciting and innovating DeFi trading platform. And we have Katia here. She is the head of product and is going to tell us all about it. How are you doing today, Katia?
Yes, really, really well. It's we're almost in this month of December, which is exciting, which is all kind of Christmas mood. And yeah, so I can't wait for some new Christmas-related campaigns with Bebop as well.
Awesome. I love the Christmas season, so I'm really excited to find out more about those campaigns. And I'm really excited to find out more about Bebop today. But before we get into that, I'd love it if you could introduce yourself to the community, let everyone know who you are, what's your background, and how'd you get into crypto?
Oh yeah, sure, we'll do that, and I'll ask Eric as well to jump in there. So my name is Katia. Obviously, we established that. I've been in crypto professionally, I think, for about 18 months. I joined crypto at Wintermute, which is probably the largest trading companies after what happened with Alameda recently. And been a fantastic experience working at the heart of the liquidity provision in crypto across centralized finance, decentralized finance, OTC, and stuff like that. And then Wintermute was interested, and I was basically heading the product side on OTC trading there. Given that my background is in fintech, kind of capital markets fintech. Previously, I was working at London Stock Exchange and kind of basically TradFi product stuff. But I kind of fell in love with DeFi, and I knew that Wintermute wanted to start incubating products. And of course, something trading related was the first thing that came to mind. And and I kind of started working on that too. And then I was like, well, you know what? It's really fun. I like that a lot. Here I am working pretty much full time on Bebop right now. And Eric?
Awesome. Hi guys, I'm Eric. I'm a developer on Bebop, here to answer any technical questions you might have. I've been in the industry about 5 years. Most of my time was spent in the permission side of the fence. So putting blockchains into stock exchanges and clearing houses and different sort of institutions. We got so excited about the permission side of the fence, all the activities in the communities and just the popularity of it and the technology as well. So I've migrated over here and so lucky to be on Bebop.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's great to meet the both of you. Those are some really impressive backgrounds. Um, I'd love to hear more about how you got started with Bebop. Honestly only found out about the protocol rather recently, so I'm wondering if it, when was it founded? What inspired it? I don't know if you could talk a bit about like the development journey up until now.
Yeah, sure. As I mentioned, because obviously it's incubated by Wintermute, the idea came out of Wintermute. Wintermute as a liquidity provider is largest liquidity private market maker in DeFi, right? And so, kind of the Wintermute family sort of had a lot of kind of thoughts and experiences around, like, hey, like what can be improved, and what other things can be done, and then that came together with my thinking and the team thinking, that the team that joined later thinking around just kind of usability. And to be fair, like, it's not even my thinking, like everyone is talking about UX and DeFi, and that's what we have such a strong focus on, and I think it's paying off. Like, the feedback has been great in terms of like our branding and UX, and it's like we're just really at the start of the journey, and there's like so much stuff we can do and we will do. So basically it's kind of like the two stories. One of them is providing efficient execution into the world of DeFi, and that's we're working closely with Wintermute, but also more and more with other professional market makers, is something that will allow us to do. and the backend architecture that like Eric is working on also empowers that. And then on the other side, doing working on the again on the user experience, bringing cool collaborations with achievements and guilds and whatnot, and just making it a joy to use, I suppose.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And there's so many things that Bebop does differently from other platforms. Like as far as I'm aware, when it comes to the multi-token input and output, there is nobody else doing that. Is that correct?
There's no one else who is doing it like we do it. That's true. There are a couple of protocols that, like, one of them is, I think, just starting. Someone someone on Twitter, it was just like a little project hackathon. I don't even know kind of at what stage they are, so I think they now are doing that. There is another protocol that allows, I believe, either only one-to-many or many-to-one. I don't know, only one side of it. So definitely the kind of on Bebop you can trade any number of tokens into one, or one into any number of tokens. On the app itself, we limit it to 5, just because that's kind of the main use cases that we see. But with like the API integrations, it's actually you can just take your portfolio and rebalance it pretty much in one go. But yeah, I believe that this was the innovation that we delivered first, and it's great to see the response and the different use cases that come up with that. I expect that it will become a thing in other protocols in the future. I don't see why not. Yeah, I mean, it works really well for us. It works really well for us with the how we integrate private market maker liquidity into execution, because then ultimately what happens when you trade multiple tokens at the same time, it's not just kind of the usability. On Ethereum, you really do have significant gas savings when you do that. And that's, again, what the kind of sort of the liquidity coming from private market makers allows us to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a comment from a technical perspective, like what we actually needed to be able to program a system like this. We needed an institution to be able to provide us with stable, consistent price feeds. And many institutions do that. But not only do you need a price feed, you need liquidity on the back end to back up those prices, to be able to capture that price, or enable the takers to capture that price and settle on demand 24/7. So the 24/7 liquidity provision too is super special. And you also need to be DeFi native. You really want to have programmers and kind of partnerships with people who really want to get into the details of how do you maintain trustlessness, and how do you kind of code smart contracts to deliver settlement 24/7 and such and such.
Amazing. Morgan, yeah, this ties into my next question. So Morgan's asking, how can we provide liquidity to Bebop? And then so essentially what my question was is, like, where do you guys source your liquidity from? Like, do you have your own liquidity, or are you aggregating other sources of liquidity? How does that all work on the back end?
Yeah, so we currently one of our great features is zero slippage, right? So as a reminder, slippage is what happens between the price you see and what you end up with, right? And it's kind of sort of like a normal situation in exchanges, in the order book model, as well as in the pool model, because like if you come in and you with a trade, you move the market to an extent that may get basically may not be beneficial for you. And so with the RFQ system, request for quote system that we have, that comes from traditional finance and is like very established there. Basically, you work with entities whose professional business it is to trade and to provide quotes and to stand by those quotes, right? And that is what private market makers are, right? And so right now, all of our liquidity we are actually sourcing from Wintermute, but it's absolutely our not even plan, but the current work that we're doing, a lot of it revolves around adding other private market makers. And what does it mean? It means that at least at this stage, first step of aggregating liquidity is from those professional firms that will stand by the price, that will deliver a no slippage to you, and that will allow for this multi-token trade within like a single transaction, right? Which again means that the gas fees, again, on Ethereum, where it's much more relevant, are dramatically lower. So to the question from Morgan, like how can individuals, basically, how can you guys provide liquidity into Bebop? The answer is you can't at the moment. It's not something that we're working on, so we don't have like the liquidity pools, right? And again, the reason for that, we really want to deliver the best experience, and at this point, we believe that private market makers can deliver better experience in terms of the trades that you make. That's one. And the other one is the whole kind of story of LP tokens, the articles that you guys might have read about, the impermanent loss and general sort of financial profitability of LPing into pools. It's not definitively profitable. Let's kind of put it this way, right? And so that's why we just don't focus on these particular aspects, because actually we want to deliver something useful to our users. And yeah, so that's the answer.
Absolutely. And I think like a lot of the algorithms we're working on now for version 2, where you have many streams of prices, many streams of liquidity, sort of competing to give you the best price, sort of all sort of on top of this novel sort of many to one to many experience. All those can be used, for those secondary markets of, individuals providing liquidity down the line. So a lot of reusable stuff happening.
Yep. And Morgan, I can see that you sent a message about the multi-hop implied pricing. I think that's great. So yeah, very, very happy to connect and have a chat about that.
Perfect. I love it when connections are formed through these AMAs. One thing I'm curious about is, what is the risk that is like associated, I guess, with Wintermute for, providing this service? Like, I know that people like to arbitrage trade, all sorts of things. Are they taking on any risks?
So Wintermute is a professional trading firm, right? And so it's Wintermute's, as a market maker, it's Wintermute's job to take risk, right? So when a market maker quotes a price, they quote the bid and offer, and so they buy at bid, they buy lower, they sell higher, right? And that's how market makers make their money. Now, why would someone pay them the spread? Why would someone do that? Well, that's because they take on the risk. Because they quote the price to you that they're going to stand by. And at the same time, they need to go and hedge it out, right? And so for the time that they're hedging it out, they are holding the risk. And basically, that's what they're being paid for. So, when someone comes and trades on Bebop or across many different venues that you guys know across DeFi, as well as many exchanges in CeFi, Binance, Coinbase, whatever. Very often you trade actually against Wintermute, and every time Wintermute takes that risk and takes and charges the spread for that risk. And
it's a very sophisticated business, and some top traders in the world really working there to make that machine go. So it's really an industry first for them to sort of expose open a window to this machine and expose the heartbeat to the world for you to trade against them in a trustless way. It's pretty special.
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty incredible. What tokens do you guys support on Bebop, and what is the reason for supporting these said tokens?
So we support. So it depends on the chain, right? I mean, our biggest coverage is on Ethereum. Kind of for obvious reasons. Generally, kind of more tokens there, more and more demand. So we look at a couple of different things, right? So, well, one of them is the obviously the availability of tokens of pricing from the liquidity provider, right? So in this case, it's just Wintermute, but as I mentioned, we're definitely going to work with more providers, and that's where the list of tokens is going to grow. So that's one. Generally, then we don't go and say, okay, quote us all the different tokens, because we really we focus on, we look constantly at the top traded tokens on the respective chain, and those are the ones that we prioritize there. So basically, we definitely have right now on Ethereum, the top 5 stables, obviously Bitcoin and ETH, as well as pretty much the DeFi blue chips. But also, we have the ability to add new tokens very, very, very quickly. So, for example, I don't know if it was actually true, but I think there was like a couple of minutes on the day of launch of the Hashflow token when we were trading it on Bebop, but it was not yet available on Hashflow. It might be wrong, right? But it was pretty much maybe at the same time, right? And so we literally just did it on the spot. And if people wanted to either buy a token or sell the airdrop that they got, they were able to do that, and we saw people do that. So we also actually, if you guys have any ideas or some ideas that you want to put in chat, we're kind of thinking about what tokens might be interesting, right? Like what can we bring? Maybe there is some interest in some sort of launchpad type kind of section of Bebop where you could trade like something really quite niche. So yeah, we're quite open to how this can be done, and sort of open for suggestions and use cases as well.
Absolutely. And like you see this list of tokens here, but it's
I'm
also
not sharing my screen.
Oh, yeah, you'll see in a second. There's a list of tokens supported, but it's also like the combinations of those tokens that you can create with the basket trading features, because we're kind of computing prices for you in real time for any sort of direction you might pick.
Yeah. Speaking of screen share, you are more than welcome to, if you would like to. Yeah, and another question I had that kind of ties into the last one is, why did you choose to deploy on the blockchains you did, Ethereum and Polygon?
Well, I mean, Ethereum obviously is like if you're doing EVM, if you're starting with EVM, it makes a lot of sense to do Ethereum. I think we can all agree on that. And then Polygon, well, I mean, I'm aware that I'm in Polygon Discord right now, but actually, I think it's great to work with Polygon. I'm not saying this because I'm here now, right? But because I think really it's true. I think the ecosystem support and the kind of ongoing communication that we had with you and have with you guys is great. I also like the fact that the projects that we partner with kind of choose to go to Polygon after Ethereum as their next step. For example, we partnered with Nooks, which is a lovely on-chain achievements platform. And they're quite new, but again, the team is great, and I think our collab there was fantastic, and we really rely on that platform to award achievements to our Bebop users, and there's going to be more to come. And they were available only on Ethereum, and we were like, yeah, like go, which other chains you're gonna go to? And they said Polygon, and I think that's great as well, right? Because like suddenly the composability of all the applications just works really well. So I think Polygon is a great ecosystem, and we will go for more blockchains as well. We actually work on one integration that we're not going to disclose what it is. But yeah, I just have only good things to say about Polygon, that's for sure.
Yeah, and with kind of monetary systems like this, there definitely is an element of needing to heavily test in production, and naturally doing that in Polygon is much more beneficial, less costly.
Most definitely. That's great to hear, and I gotta say the feeling is mutual. We're really lucky to have a project like yours on Polygon. What you guys are doing is amazing. I'd love to talk more about the security side of things, just because that's always like a really important thing to highlight. Um, do you guys have any type of bounty programs or audits? What?
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about audits, or I mean,
Sure. Yeah, I guess there's many facets to security. It's a multifaceted thing. So secure architecture is super important. We adopted secure architecture to sort of expose all this machinery to the world. And sort of coming down from a secure architecture, we like secure programming, secure validations, sort of like moving off from that. Then it's like peer review of the code everyone writes, and then broader peer review outside of the team. And then once you're happy with your internal processes and the code you're writing, we look for external sort of support and validation. So yeah, pen testing, like top tier security firms, ongoing consulting on how we can keep following practices and such and such. No different to you would in kind of any internet facing product, I suppose.
Yeah, and yeah, so audits specifically, we work with
Yes, of course,
Certic
yeah.
and Constamp on one of the versions of the Bebop contract. It changed slightly since, so we don't audit every single version, but the next version that we do, like any major change to the smart contract, would always be audited by at least 2 firms. And yes, but that's not just the audits, right? Like pen testing is very important as well. So anything that's there, but also kind of another important thing on security is that Bebop contract is a settlement contract, right? It's not a pool. It doesn't hold any funds, right? And where we see the hacks and the really bad stuff happen, right? It's when you have a contract that has funds inside it. And that's when those funds potentially could be drained, and obviously the owners of those assets would be affected. Now, what happens with Bebop contract? It's like it basically just it transfers, right? Once the trade is sent on chain, it takes the the assets from the buyer and then the seller basically, right, and transfers them across. So at no point are the assets actually locked in the contract. So inherently, that design just makes it more secure as well, in the sense that you can, basically your funds are not locked inside the Bebop contract at any point.
Yep.
Awesome. All right, we've got lots of questions coming in from the chat, which is great to see. One thing I keep seeing a lot of is you guys have these amazing emojis. So that definitely begs the question, how did you come up with the branding? It's so good. I love it. Is there a story behind it, or?
Yeah, there's a story behind it. We have also a tweet about it, which I can share later on. But yeah, basically, so the name, Bebop is a jazz style, right? So first of all, we just generally thinking about the brand, right? We love DeFi and we love to have fun in DeFi, but we kind of felt like there too many sort of, like this kind of, it's a lot of like too much like of neon color and like unicorns and rainbows and like all that sort of stuff, and like we love it, but we're like, okay, there's enough of that. We don't need to be that. Like we want to be kind of something else, right? And so we decided to be like colorful and fun, but also just kind of maybe a bit more grown up in a way, like not in any sort of negative way, like against like other branding choices, but kind of that's where we wanted to be. And the name, and again, yeah, right, we didn't want to use like the word swap in the name, so we went through a bunch of different names, and this came as an inspiration from jazz style, which is a post Second World War jazz style, where basically small kind of like small very diverse jazz bands or kind of just jazz musicians would come together and jam together and just improvise on stage, right? And then people from the audience would also be able to join those jam sessions and kind of like the audience becomes the musicians, and the musicians become the audience, and it was just very different It was very diverse. It was a very kind of like contrarian and experimental and fun style, and very open style as well for everyone, for participation, for improvisations and things like that. And we kind of thought, hey, that's what DeFi is, because people from all walks of life, come in and participate and contribute to projects in different ways. And sometimes they provide liquidity, and they lend and borrow to each other, but also to like large institutions, I don't know, like Wintermute on chain. And that's very cool. And so that's kind of how we came up with that. And then the branding with kind of like, we want to make it dynamic and again fun and colorful. Yeah, we have great designers. So, so basically we're having a lot of fun with the brand overall.
I love it, and I'm definitely going to be listening to some Bebop tracks right after this AMA. I feel like it'll be some great music to work.
We're thinking actually of making a Spotify playlist, a Bebop Spotify playlist or something like that, because our friends at guild.xyz said that it's going to be one of the like actions you will be able to track via guild in the future. Maybe I'm showing some alpha here about them, but anyway, yeah. So I don't know if I can say this. If any of the guild guys are here, please don't kill me. But yeah, so very excited about guild, also collab with them, so we're quite a musical exchange, I think.
Okay, if you want to share alpha, this is a great place to do it, but I totally respect having to police the alpha. Can't spill too much of the good stuff, right? And yeah, talk about what you were saying. I definitely think it'd be a cool marketing opportunity to pursue some, I don't know, Bebop hits coming from you guys, especially with everything going on with the Lens protocol. I don't know, I'm getting a little off topic, but yeah, I definitely think it's a cool avenue to pursue. We had a great question coming in from Suki. They're wondering if is there any statistic about how much gas can be saved via using a multi-token swap rather than, doing like 5 individual swaps?
So actually, do you mind if I maybe share my screen? And I don't know if I can suddenly. But yeah, I can answer this question. And if I can share, I will see. So basically, we do have the stats. I need to look at it. It's in our docs. It's also in our Twitter. Like, let me see. But Eric, if you remember, I think it was like plus 20% for each additional token.
That's it. Yeah, the arithmetic is with every additional token, it's 15% of what it would be if you just did individual transactions. The more tokens you add, the cheaper it's going to be versus doing all of those individual transactions.
Yeah, exactly. So it's definitely trading like 5 tokens to 1 or 1 to 5 is probably the same as doing like 2 1-to-1 swaps. It's kind of something like that. We have the exact numbers and they're published. I just don't remember them kind of on top of my head, but it's significant.
Yeah, no worries. I definitely agree with you. It's a significant difference. My understanding of it is that like every single transaction comes with its own transaction fee. So if you put like multiple actions into one transaction, then you save money on that, like each individual transaction fee, since you're doing it all in one.
I don't know if you guys can see my screen. If you do, then maybe we can have a look, kind of can see sort of those fees, right, and how they change. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can, and I'm gonna share mine as well. I can't believe you guys just broke the all-time record for amount of Discord AMA attendees, and so
fantastic.
Yeah, there's over 420 people here, so that's incredible. I'm also gonna share my screen just because I think there's a limit to how many people can watch a screen share, and I did not anticipate so many people being here today. So thank you, everyone. Really appreciate it.
Cool, but I still don't know. Like, I think I'm sharing. I don't know if.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, you are. It's great. Everything looks good. We're good to go.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so basically, yeah. So first of all, like this is Bebop. So for those of you who don't know it, but yeah, so see, basically, what I'm gonna do now, I'm just gonna like do like one-on-one, right? So the current like sort of estimated fee that's included already in the price, so you don't need to pay anything extra. It's here. Is like about like they say $2.5. Now, if we add a second token, we're getting here like 342, right? So that's otherwise it would have been 5, right? So this the changes per token is already much smaller. Now here, if we're looking at 3 tokens, it's 377, right? So that's again that like suddenly becomes like 1.2 or 1.2 and a bit per token, or sorry, per pair, right? And so that's basically you just saved half of your gas per pair. And yeah, and the more that you go, the obviously the more the saving. There was a question I saw on chat here. Why we're limiting to 5? We're limiting to 5 because this is where we kind of wanted to start with, and we don't necessarily see a lot of like current use cases for more. We also don't want it to be like, to make it like super confusing, but there's no technical reason why it's limited, right? So our API users, we're going to publish API docs in the next few weeks. Our API users would be able to trade any number of tokens on either side. So there is no real limitation. And then we're thinking about kind of things going forward, what we're going to do. And, when we start looking at like your portfolios and how you can maybe like rebalance your portfolio in one go using this kind of functionality in the background, of course, we're going to provide the capabilities to, rebalance more than 5 at a time.
Absolutely, yeah. The limit is, a function of the maximum amount of gas that can be spent in that transaction, making it into the block. So, more tokens than are listed for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I can't imagine needing to swap more than 5 at once. This is incredible.
So basically that's so I mean I think there are some cool use cases when you do, and we're talking to a bunch of people about that. So I think that's cool to there are use cases basically. So but right now, tell us if you want more, and we can certainly look into doing that.
Yeah, most definitely.
There was a question actually I saw. Maybe I'll pick it up here once while I'm here. There's a common question, right? Why do you need to wrap your ETH, right? Why do you have to trade WETH instead of ETH? So that's kind of how we do there's a technical limitation basically of what ETH is as a token versus WETH, and how we do the trades, right? So basically, as you go through the workflow here with Bebop, and you say, okay, I'd like to, sell my WETH to my Bitcoin, for example, so I can try and do this. I'll review order, and you can see that the gas fee is included. And then once I confirm it, what happens to me in the wallet, right? I just sign the transaction. I don't pay the gas. I don't send the transaction on chain. So what happens instead? Bebop sends the transaction on chain, and that's why your gas fee is it's not gonna it's not gonna spike. It's just like this is what's quoted to you, and it's gonna be done. Now, unfortunately, you cannot go through that situation. You cannot sign an order to transfer out ETH out of your wallet. Surprisingly, it was surprising to me anyway. ETH is not an ERC20 token, but WETH is, and so that's why and neither actually for Polygon as well. It's like Matic. If you trade on Polygon, you are you're gonna have the same sort of situation that you're trading like WMatic as opposed to the native Matic token, and so that's kind of that's one of the, I think, things that like the blockchains will need to figure out, and the apps, and all of us basically will need to figure out how to improve in the future. we are thinking, and we do have some flows to basically kind of like include wrapping into the trading journey. You'll still have to click through it, but we'll make it more just easier to use. But there are certain things where like we just can't change the way things work.
Yeah, there could be ways that the maker could provide the ticker ETH, but because ETH obviously, as you said, is not ERC20, there's no way we can give the contract permission to transfer that ETH away from the taker. So we can get close to it.
Incredible. I see a lot of people commenting about trader and tester and all these different roles. Is there some kind of like campaign going on that you haven't mentioned yet?
Yeah, there was yeah. So basically, good to see you guys. Good to see you. I guess a lot of people coming from our Discord as well. Yeah, so we've done a few. I don't necessarily want to call them campaigns, right? It's just we really like our community, and a lot of people contributed, and we wanted to kind of commemorate that. We do have our I mentioned nukes, right? We do have our oops. Here we do have our collection here. So and for people who traded during our whitelist stage, we had those badges. Bebop early adopter, early multi-swapper. We have a special Halloween, sort of not once off, but it was active during Halloween, so you needed to place a trade during that period to earn that one. But it will come back next Halloween, right? So it's not, it's going to keep coming back, this badge. And then currently we have the Bebop Uncommon Swapper, and that's the progression one, right? So you can keep earning it by basically, so this one requires 10 trades, right? And we'll add many more, right? So there's going to be like many versions of this and so on and so forth. So that's kind of one thing. And people who, for example, got all 4 of those during our whitelist phase got the OG super achiever role, I believe, through guild, and someone who got at least one of those achievements would have gotten an achiever one. But then also nukes are not yet available on Polygon. They will be, but not yet. So we of course wanted to give roles to people who traded both on Ethereum and Polygon during our whitelist stage. And so we had the OG tester and OG trader roles that we basically took the trades from, on chain. We looked at them and then we said, okay, these wallets qualify for one or the other. And so the main thing is that, a lot of people came to give feedback and it was great. And so, if someone comes and trades, I don't know, like 20 cents of a transaction on Polygon, clearly this is a test because you guys want to like check out the platform, give some feedback, see how it works and so on and so forth. But then if you trade kind of like you don't need to trade, crazy amounts, right? So I think for Polygon, it was $25 or $50 threshold there. Where we said, well, like if you want to like make a trade, if you're not a whale, that's fine. But if it's kind of some amount that's, that's more than a couple of cents, then you will qualify for the OG trader role as well. And so we have those on our in our guild and in Discord.
Fantastic. One thing I was curious about, especially like since you guys are such a young protocol, what's next on the roadmap? Like what are your plans for the future, short-term, long-term goals? Like how do you envision Bebop's position within the future of Web3?
Ooh, the future of Web3. Well, the future of Web3 is bright, and I think we don't. We see just this very small part of it, right? So it's very exciting. Obviously we have started, and we are what we are today is a place where you can come and place trades at good prices and good gas efficiency and hopefully just like very good user experience as well. But realistically, I think that we definitely want to do kind of much more than just a trading capability, right? I think that it's, of course, there are basics. Okay, you want to come and trade, and you want to get a good price, but also there's this stuff that you want to know about your trades, right? Okay, a lot of people ask for trading history, and we're working on it, and we're gonna do that. But when we think about it, we're like, okay, but is it enough to just give you like a table, right? And say, okay, these are the trades that you made. We really want to bring kind of like more insights and sort of more kind of interesting stuff around. Okay, like these are the tokens that you trade. This is the amounts that you trade. This is how you compare maybe like to an average like DeFi trader or whatnot, right? So kind of like thinking about what other things do people do when they before they trade and after they trade, and we kind of want to bring this into the same sort of coherent experience. And that's kind of one aspect. And the other aspect is the whole kind of achievements and roles, and like what those roles can get you, and beyond, basically, is it like just something that puts a smile on your face, or something that gives you like some, I don't know, extra capabilities perhaps, like in the app and things like that. So thinking about that too, and kind of like involving the kind of using all the cool identity stuff and community stuff that's part of DeFi, and bring it back into the product, right? So we're definitely working on kind of bringing some of the stuff that you see like in Guild and on Twitter, on Discord, back into Bebop.xyz as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, just even to add, like, this is such a special opportunity to connect institutions and individuals in a way that's different to how it's been in the past in crypto and even beyond in financial sector, in a way that, is a good experience and users can trust, but also enables, both parties to sort of benefit from, the flow on the one side, but also the manifestations of people in these institutions. Like, people go to work in these firms, very bright people do very hard work, and there's machines and technologies created that a lot of us just never see. So this is a way to connect two worlds.
Awesome. I see you have the multi-token output there, which is really cool. Very intuitive. I love the interface for that. I got some questions that I have. I guess the first one I'll ask, because there's definitely somebody in the audience who's thinking it right now, is when token, and like, do you guys have any plans for a token? Why not?
Yeah. So when we had our first AMA in our Discord, of course, we actually, people had it in the pre-questions, and the answer that I gave back then is still the same. We really have been so focused on building the product and thinking about that we really have not put any significant amount of thought into token, because obviously we've been just working on the product, right? So obviously token is something that any Web3 project considers, I'm sure, and those sort of thoughts and conversations and kind of pros and cons, things like that. These conversations will happen, but they haven't happened yet. So there's just not like really much I have to say about it at the moment.
That's awesome, and that makes plenty of sense. Another project I spoke to yesterday, same page, they're more focused on building out the protocol, and they're not really thinking about a token at all. And it just we're in a build market, right? Back in the bull market, we saw this ridiculous trend of projects launching a token and then being like, product soon, and I just think that's silly. It shouldn't be a thing. So I love your approach to building this out. We have a great question coming from Alpha Vibes. They're wondering, is this a business to customer protocol, or are you open for partnerships to offer your APIs to other platforms so they could use your protocol in the background? Yeah,
we're open to I'm not gonna say everything, but we're open, right? So we, as a team, we are open, and we're totally open to working with other protocols and integrating on the API level. This was not our first focus. Our first focus was on delivering, this beautiful product with branding and UX and everything to you guys, basically to the users. And then we now are at a good place with fairly close to publishing our API docs for those integrations. So yeah, I mean, just happy to talking already to some potential opportunities there, and obviously open to more.
Absolutely, yeah. And like the engineering team has been so lucky to be given the space and support to really take our time to create something that will last. So this stuff is enterprise grade in the back end, and at the core level, the protocol doesn't really differentiate between who the takers are, but obviously things can slightly vary between those two audiences.
Yeah. Another really important question I ask, or that I have, that someone else already asked earlier, but we haven't got around to it. So, does the protocol generate revenue? And if so, how does it generate revenue?
Currently, we are pre-revenue. We have been very lucky to, again, to be incubated by Wintermute. So, the kind of the funding behind has been there and is there, right? And so we didn't need to generate revenue. There is a clear revenue generating model that's there for products like Bebop, where again working with this model doesn't belong specifically to crypto only. It's a fairly common sort of formats across TradFi as well, and that's where the platform would charge the market makers for the trades that they get basically through the platform. We currently don't do that. Well, we don't charge Wintermute, let's say, and it's not our intention to kind of be generating revenue at all costs ASAP. There are other ways to generate revenue as well, and we'll as we come to those and as we grow, we'll look at those. But yeah, there's a clear revenue model that we can adopt, and we will adopt at some point.
Fantastic. Yeah, I love that approach. It seems to be a common trend as well to drive adoption to new platforms. So yeah, there's been a lot of people expressing the desire to get more involved with Bebop and potentially even partner up. So I'm curious, like, what is the best ways to get involved with you guys? What's the best way to get in touch with you guys?
Yeah, so we have our Discord, which you can access from our website, and I'm happy to post a link here as well. So we on our Discord. Well, generally you can just message me on or anyone from the team through Discord. That's probably the easiest. And we have also a ticketing system in our Discord where you can raise a ticket about partnerships, and that will create a special ticket for you, and we can talk about it there. And then also you can reach out. Yeah, I think those are basically the easiest ways, and then we can connect in other ways too. So that's if you want to do a partnership. If you want to contribute, there are various different ways to contribute. We actually are about to publish a bunch of things, basically like a bunch of bullet points of how you guys can contribute, but already a lot of people have in different ways. We've seen a lot of people. We have about 35,000 people on Discord, which is quite a lot, and we couldn't have managed it without a bunch of people who are just kind of there, quite a lot, answering questions and just helping out. And out of one of those people, we invited this Anon to become our moderator, right? And super great to work with him and also with others. We also have seen quite a lot of translation going on of our articles and things like that. And once we start kind kind of working on our user interface in different languages as well. I think we're going to involve the community there too. But we've seen also people contribute in different ways, kind of out of their own, like in the ways they wanted to and they thought they could. Someone created fantastic analytics dashboards on Dune and other platforms. Someone created some, art and memes and, some like stickers and whatnot. And, all of it is just really great and is really appreciated. We also awarded OG contributor to, I think, about 200 people that participated and that contributed a lot through the whitelist phase that we had, so up until the 8th of November. And they've been getting some swag from us in the last few days, and I think some are still waiting. It's going to arrive. So I think that generated some hype. That's good. I'm hoping that you guys are enjoying it, if some of you on this call got it. And we'll just continue. Obviously, we'll bring new roles. We close now the OG roles, obviously, kind of through that period of time of whitelist. But we're working on the new roles. And if you want some swag, I think we have a meme contest running right now on Twitter as well. But there's going to be more. There's going to be more activity. So we're not going to stop here.
Was it?
Yeah, that's amazing. I want to encourage everybody, if you have any questions, make sure to get them in quick. Well, we still have roughly 10 minutes left. You guys have basically answered all of the questions that I had for you. I'm curious, is there anything that you guys wanted to talk about that we haven't already covered?
I know that a few people. So we also are going to have our AMA on our Discord on Friday, and it's in the UTC morning, right? So I think it really works very, very well with the different time zone coverage with you guys. So we've been getting some questions there, and I think one of them is around funding, right? So whether we're going to raise, so the answer to that is yes. We will do a raise in the next few months, perhaps. So it's something that we're going to start working on. And so far, all the funding came from Wintermute Ventures. So that's a common question that I guess I can cover. But another thing, actually, another thought that I just had, so in terms of contributions, we really appreciate the ongoing feedback that comes from you guys through Discord and in other ways as well. We like to do the user testing as well, and we run some polls. So the participation there is fantastic, and it's something that I just wanted to kind of thank you for that participation, but also kind of keep it coming, because I know that sometimes you there's just so much of it, right? And obviously we're a young small team. I say young, just growing, some things take time, right? But it's definitely super helpful, super useful, and we appreciate that a lot. So also, we had a survey that we did, which was very exciting. It was kind of like a semi joking one. It was called a portrait of an early Bebopper, and we just asked it 25, a bunch of questions, sort of some of them related to since when have you been in crypto, but then some other ones what kind of drink is your preference, or would you prefer to live in the metaverse or in the real world, and things like that. We published some results, some insights from that, but we're gonna do that a bit more properly, I think, in the next few days. It was really fascinating. I think we ended up having something like 15,000 users filling in that survey. And it was cool. And I really encourage you to, you can see, you will be able to read it on our Twitter. So follow us if you don't already. But some really interesting insights there. For example, we were surprised to see the age distribution of people. We actually expected people to be kind of like much younger on average than what we saw. And so generally, it kind of seems like a very kind of it turned out to be quite a comprehensive survey. 15,000 people is very representative in crypto, right? So we're gonna share some insights there. So watch out for that.
Fantastic. Yeah, I've definitely been feeling the bear market vibes. So I gotta say, it's great to see your project have such a large supportive community. It's honestly phenomenal having you here today to talk about Bebop and having all your community here. So really grateful for this opportunity. And thank you so much, everybody. I'm going to be handing out POAPs towards the end of this. It doesn't look like we have any other questions coming in, so. But yeah, it looks like you guys are doing so many things right, considering the amount of support you're receiving. So I'm really bullish about the future of Bebop and all that's in store for you guys. Thank you again, Katia, and I believe it was Eric, right?
No, fantastic. Thank you so much for hosting us here. It's been really great. For those of you guys who may have like more specific questions or something like that, feel free to go into our Discord and drop them in our AMA questions channel. So some of those questions we'll answer on Friday, and some like very, very specific ones we can just have a like one-on-one conversation, or we'll just reply to them in the channel too. So always happy to answer questions.
Perfect. I just dropped the links again there, so I just once again want to encourage everyone to go jump in the Bebop Discord so you don't miss that Friday AMA, and follow them on Twitter so you don't miss any other updates. And thanks again, everyone, for being here today. Really appreciate it. Warms my heart having so many people attend these. So thank you again.
Oh, great.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Have a good day, everyone.
Have fun.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. I'll stick around for a bit, hand out POAPs. Thanks again.